Boxing has seen many champions rise to glory through blood, sweat, and determination. But today we're talking about what many consider the biggest fraud in Mexican boxing history. Jorge Kahwagi claimed to be an undefeated champion with a perfect 12-0 record, all knockouts. But the truth behind his career is far more shocking than anyone could imagine. In July 2015, after 10 years away from boxing, Jorge Kahwagi stepped into the ring one final time against Ramon Olivas in the Philippines. What happened next has been called one of the most infamous fiascos in recent boxing history. The video of this fight, which you can still find online today, shows something that barely looks like a real boxing match. Kahwagi appeared visibly out of shape with what looked like massive chest implants that made his upper body appear unnaturally large. His punches were slow, awkward, and seemed to have no real power behind them. When he finally landed what was supposed to be the knockout blow, his opponent fell to the canvas in such an obviously fake way that viewers immediately knew something was wrong. The crowd's reaction said everything. Instead of cheering for an impressive knockout, the audience responded with laughs, boos, and outright mockery. Social media exploded with comments comparing Kawagi's movement to a robot and his punches to something from a video game with bad graphics. One viewer even said it looked like they were watching a deep fake because the whole thing seemed so unreal. The referee stopped the fight in less than a minute, officially giving Kahwagi his 12th professional victory. But this wasn't a triumph. It was the final chapter in one of boxing's most embarrassing stories. And if you think this fight was bad, wait until you hear about the rest of his career. If you're enjoying this deep dive into one of boxing's biggest controversies, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you think about fighters who buy their way to fake victories instead of earning them through real skill and hard work. To understand how Jorge Kahwagi became boxing's most notorious fraud, we need to go back to his beginnings. Born on May 28, 1968, Jorge Antonio Kahwagi Macari was never destined to struggle for anything in life. His father, Jorge Kahwagi Gastin, was a major figure in Mexican media and business, who controlled newspapers and had deep connections throughout the government. The Kahwagi family's influence went far beyond just having money. His father had romantic ties with Elba Esther Gordillo, who was considered one of the most powerful political figures in Mexico at the time. Even Kawagi's son-in-law held a high position as undersecretary at the Mexican Secretariat of Economy. This wasn't just wealth. This was a network of power that could open any door. But Jorge Kahwagi wanted more than just inherited success. He craved personal fame and recognition that would make him stand out from his family's shadow. Unfortunately, instead of using his advantages to build something legitimate, he chose a different path entirely. Before he ever stepped into a boxing ring, Kahwagi was already showing a pattern of putting spectacle over substance. He served as a federal representative for Mexico's PVEM political party from 2003 to 2006. But in 2004, he did something that revealed his true priorities. He took an official leave from his important government position to appear on a reality TV show called Big Brother VIP3. Think about that for a moment. Here was a man with real political power and responsibility, and he abandoned his duties to spend 50 days in a reality TV house for entertainment. He finished third place on the show, but the damage to his reputation as a serious politician was already done. This decision showed that Kahwagi valued celebrity attention more than professional respect or public service. This reality TV stunt was actually the perfect preview of what was coming next. Just like he had used his political position to gain fame on television, he was about to use his family's wealth and connections to buy himself a completely fake boxing career. Kawagi's professional boxing debut came on December 10, 2001, when he was already 33 years old. Most serious boxers start their professional careers much younger, but age wasn't the most unusual thing about his boxing journey. What made his career truly bizarre was the opponents he chose to fight. Instead of working his way up through legitimate competition like real boxers do, Kahwagi systematically selected opponents who were guaranteed to lose. These weren't just weak fighters. They were men with absolutely terrible records who were essentially paid to participate in fake fights. Let's look at some specific examples that prove this wasn't coincidence. He fought Richard Wilson, whose record was 13 wins and 62 losses. He fought Alexia Sokin twice. a man who had more losses than wins. But the most shocking example was his fight against Buck Smith, who had an incredible record of 183 losses. To put this in perspective, Buck Smith had lost more fights than most boxers even participate in during their entire careers. This wasn't an opponent. This was someone whose job was to lose fights for money. In the boxing world, these fighters are called journeymen, and their role is to provide easy wins for rising prospects. But Kahwagi built his entire career on this model. By the time he retired, Kawagi's official record showed 12 wins, 0 losses, and 0 draws. Every single victory came by knockout, with 9 of them ending in the first round and the other 3 in the second round. On paper, this looked like the record of a devastating puncher who was completely dominant in the ring. But anyone who understood boxing knew this record was impossible to achieve legitimately. Real champions face adversity, struggle through tough fights, and occasionally lose, or at least go the distance with skilled opponents. Kawagi's perfect record wasn't a sign of greatness, it was proof of systematic fraud. The boxing community wasn't fooled by these fake achievements. During his fight against Roberto Jose Coelho in July 2005, the audience saw right through the deception. The crowd jeered, booed, and even threw beer cups into the ring to show their disgust with the obvious lack of genuine competition. Even more damaging was the response from Ignacio Nacho Beristain, a legendary Mexican boxing trainer who openly called the fight a complete fraud. Beristain stated that Kahwagi had many technical problems and no real physical preparation for boxing. He even revealed that he had been asked to train Kahwagi, but refused because he didn't want to damage his own reputation by being associated with such obvious fakery. When ESPN tried to interview Kahwagi about these serious allegations in August 2005, he refused to speak to them. This silence spoke louder than any defense he could have offered. A real champion would have defended their achievements and proven their critics wrong. Instead, Kawagi's refusal to address the accusations was basically an admission that everything people were saying was true. The controversy from the Coelho fight was so intense that Kahwagi took a 10-year break from boxing, but apparently he couldn't stay away from the spotlight forever. His return in 2015 against Ramon Olivas would prove to be even more embarrassing than anything he had done before. The physical changes in Kahwagi during his time away from the ring were impossible to ignore. When he appeared for his final fight, his body looked completely unnatural due to what appeared to be massive chest implants. Some viewers initially thought he might have injected himself with synthol, a substance some bodybuilders use to artificially inflate their muscles. But it became clear these were surgical implants. The irony of these cosmetic procedures was incredible. Kahwagi had tried to buy the appearance of being a powerful fighter, but the implants actually made it harder for him to move and throw punches properly. The very thing he did to look strong was the thing that made him look even more ridiculous in the ring. Social media users described his appearance as looking like Frankenstein's monster, and they weren't wrong. The artificial nature of his body perfectly matched the artificial nature of his boxing career. Everything about Jorge Kahwagi was fake, from his surgically enhanced physique to his purchased victories. The consensus about Jorge Kahwagi's boxing legacy is completely unanimous among experts, journalists, and fans. He is widely considered a fraud and a shame to Mexican boxing. His career is seen as a deplorable case that damaged the sport's reputation in his country. One media outlet even suggested that Kahwagi's staged rivalries with professional wrestlers seemed more real and had more genuine excitement than any of his actual boxing matches. When fake wrestling appears more authentic than your boxing career, you know you've reached the bottom of professional sports. Kahwagi's story serves as a warning about what happens when inherited wealth and privilege are used to try to purchase respect and achievement instead of earning them. While money can buy many things, it cannot buy genuine talent, real courage, or legitimate accomplishments in a sport that demands both physical and mental toughness. His legacy will never be that of an undefeated champion. Instead, Jorge Kahwagi will always be remembered as the man who tried to fake his way to the top of boxing and became a permanent symbol of everything that's wrong with allowing money to corrupt professional sports. If this story shocked you as much as it did me, don't forget to subscribe for more videos exposing the truth behind sports' biggest scandals, and let me know what other controversial figures you'd like me to investigate next. The sad truth is that Jorge Kahwagi had every advantage in life, but chose to use them in the worst possible way. He could have built something real and meaningful with his family's resources and connections. Instead, he created a house of cards that eventually collapsed under the weight of its own obvious deception, leaving behind nothing but embarrassment and a cautionary tale about the difference between buying success and actually earning it.